Before we begin, a quick thank you to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video and giving me hands-on access to their game. You can pre-order Assassin's Creed Mirage by clicking the link in the description down below. Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. Hope you're doing well. Back in 2007, a game that was built off the back of Prince of Persia came out. This game did several things. First, it made gamers and developers everywhere reshape the way they thought about stealth mechanics. Second, it became one of the go-to examples of how to do climbing mechanics in a free-roam three-dimensional game. And third, it started a series of games that were so successful that they've been pumped out almost every single year since. For better or for worse. And today, we're going to take a look at the latest game in that series and see what it has to offer. Assassin's Creed Mirage, hold on, I don't have enough fingers for this. 13th game in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Actually, if we count the spin-offs, it's the 29th. God's teeth, is that right? Surely that can't be right. Full disclosure, I have not played all 29 games. In fact, I fell off of the Assassin's Creed series back in 2011, when they stopped using numbers to indicate which game you were playing and started using words like Revelations and Origins. Couldn't tell you why I stopped playing them. That was 12 years after all, and I can barely remember what I did yesterday. But because of this fact, I will not be going over the differences between Mirage and, the other 28 games. No, instead, I'll just be judging Mirage on its own merit, treating it as if it was a standalone game, because a game needs to stand on its own 2 feet. Giving a game a pass or a hard time because of its previous titles is the same as judging a person for what their predecessors have done, and I don't think I have to go into detail about why we don't do that here. Now, I will concede that I won't be able to judge the story without knowing what happened in previous games. Assassin's Creed has always had an overarching story, though it's sometimes only tenuous at best. So if you're playing the game for its storyline, this might not be the first impression video for you. However, if you're more interested in learning about how the game plays and feels, stick around. I have much to tell you. So, with all that out of the way, behold, Assassin's Creed Mirage. First things first, let's go over the general context. Assassin's Creed Mirage launches October 5th and will be released on PS4, PS5, Xbox X and S, Xbox One, and PC. It'll cost $50 for the standard edition, $60 for the deluxe edition, which throws in digital skins, a digital art book and soundtrack, and a bonus quest, and an eye-watering $150 for the collector's edition, which comes with a figurine, a brooch, a map, a steel book, and all the previously mentioned items from the other editions. Mirage is a single-player only game, so don't expect to play this game competitively or cooperatively this go-around. Players will find themselves in 9th century Baghdad, where they'll be playing as Basim, a character who was last seen in Assassin's Creed Valhalla and now gets to embark on his own mission to assassinate Templars and work for the Hidden Order. From the portion of the game that I got to play, Basim appeared to already be involved with the Assassins, and much like the original game, was given a mission from the Assassins Guild to gather information about a target, find several ways to reach said target, and then assassinate them when ready. But that's not the only thing we'll be doing. As to be expected, there were a multitude of side missions placed around the map as well, ranging from the series' omnipresent climb a point of interest and fill out your map, to saving a small child who climbed too high up a tower. He's fine. Players have a multitude of abilities and mechanics at their disposal when it comes to exploring their surroundings and finding their targets, which I'll discuss in detail later. But for now, just know that the setting and the feel of the world around you felt interactive and fun to explore. The city feels very much alive. There are NPCs everywhere going about their business, and as I made my way through the busy streets and bazaars, I could hear several different languages being spoken from the different groups of civilians, which was a great touch and reminded me of living in the big city I grew up in. But enough about the setting, let's talk about the actual gameplay. I was given free reign in the western half of Baghdad, and was encouraged to engage with the main mission while simultaneously following anything that piqued my interest. So, needless to say, I immediately distracted myself by murdering everyone around me. This did not go well, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The gameplay basics are pretty standard to what you'd expect. You've got a hidden blade that you can quickly assassinate people with, a sword and dagger combo for whenever you find yourself in trouble, an entire backpack's worth of tools that you can use to creatively solve problems, and a pet eagle who can scout areas for you from a bird's eye view. How you use these tools at your disposal is up to you. You can play the professional assassin, scouting out areas in advance and using your tools to distract guards so that you can make a clean getaway with minimal casualties, or you can take the Backlogs approach of hacking and slashing your way through everything and anything that dares to put up a fight. The choice is yours. I will say, the combat itself was very fun to engage with, which didn't help when I was given the choice between being stealthy and, less stealthy. In combat, you can use light and heavy attacks on any foe, And there's a nice lock-on feature that helps you keep the camera focused on whichever enemy feels the most important at any given moment. You do have a stamina bar that you have to keep an eye on, so you can't just mash the attack button. And you also have to be cautious of enemy attacks as well. When an enemy flashes red, you can dodge the attack so long as you have the stamina remaining to do so. But when they flash yellow, you can either dodge or use a parry, opening the enemy up to an instant kill attack. This parry window felt a bit tight at first, but after a few combat encounters, it began to feel much more natural. And I found myself killing enemies with the parry more often than not due to how fun it felt to instantly turn the tide of the fight with a single button combo. There are also a multitude of different enemy types. You've got your basic swordsmen, slightly beefier spearmen, long-range archers, and mini-boss style enemies that can't be insta-killed. These enemies have armor and can't be attacked head-on, and take multiple parries to kill. But if you're not a fan of that, you can always just use a tool to kill them with ease. As for the tools, they come in several flavors. You've got noisemakers, smoke bombs, throwing knives for when you need an edge on your opponents, sorry not sorry, and a torch. What does the torch do, you ask? I don't know actually. I tried throwing it into dry grass and onto merchant stalls, you know, things that should be flammable, but as of the test that I got to participate in, nothing. Just a light source. Which makes sense, I guess, considering they give you unlimited torches. All my challenge run dreams just dashed against the rocks. And then there's the opposite side of the coin, stealth. You can duck and squat around, you know, super unsuspicious like, and so long as you're quiet, you can kill people with relative ease. You've also got a little bit of time right as they see you as well, which is nice. Sometimes they get a yell out before you kill them, but at least the game lets you kill them all the same. You can also do things like hide in hay bales or hidey holes and whistle until the enemies come close enough to assassinate, or drop on them from above, or from below. But here's the thing. When you murder people out in the public eye, your notoriety starts to rise, which means people and guards start to recognize you on sight. The higher your notoriety, the worse things get. First, the guards are more suspicious, then you start to get more archers placed around looking for you, and then you've got the no breaks 5-star wanted level, oh god the entire city is against me mode. Naturally, I thought it'd be funny to give that a try. And this game gets very hard very quickly when you reach that point. It's supposed to be a stealth game, so it only makes sense that it would try to discourage you from, you know, not stealthing. At least to some degree. Thankfully, there's wanted posters of your face around town whenever you start to gain notoriety. And when you rip them down, your wanted level goes down one peg. Do it enough, and you'll be back to square one. But don't expect it to go back down just because you started a new mission, because it definitely doesn't do that. There are ways to get better at combat though, and everything else as well, because Assassin's Creed Mirage has a talent tree. I didn't get to test most of them, but by the looks of things, there's something here for all the different styles of play. I personally felt very stabby that day, so I unlocked the ability to assassinate someone, then assassinate another person with a throwing knife. No regrets. Regardless of which upgrades you choose though, Basim can also use the Assassin Focus power, which lets you target several enemies at once, then assassinate them all. This isn't something that's available 24/7, but as soon as you assassinate a couple people normally to refill the bars, you can use it again. So yeah, that's the combat and stealth system. Personally, it felt pretty solid to me. The parry and riposte system was great, the general combat flows well enough, the tools were fun to play around with, and the stealth felt fun without being too boring or tedious. I wasn't a huge fan of the assassin focus, since that just felt kinda, I don't know, like I was cheating, but it's not like it's something you have to use, and I made it through my mission just fine without it. That said, let's talk about movement. The movement in Mirage felt fine. Running around the map felt good, and it was fun to barrel through crowds without a second thought. But I did struggle a bit when I tried to climb on things. It felt like I wasn't able to easily communicate where I wanted to go to the game, stepping on and off little tidbits of buildings until my character finally decided to climb the direction I wanted. I imagine this is just because it's gotten too good at making the parkour realistic. Gone are the days of just zipping up a wall. Now Basim takes all the necessary movements to get up there, which looks great, but feels a little off. Could just be the slice I was playing, and it wasn't so bad that it took me out of the moment, but it's at least worth mentioning. That said, the parkour is as cool as it's ever been, and when it works great. I just wish it was a bit more consistently fluid. You can swim in Mirage, which is a godsend, though I ran into the same issue when trying to climb out of the river. I've got too many possible options, and the game doesn't know exactly which one I want, so it kinda sucks the wind out of my sails when Basim suddenly jumps back into the river instead of just moving forward. There's also horseback riding in the game, though I didn't get to experience it for myself. I saw the prompt to steal a horse, but then I got a little too focused on other things, and by the time I remembered it, I couldn't find another horse before my time with the game was up. Another thing that was just kinda okay was the camera movement. It works great when you're out and about in the city, but whenever I entered a building or house, I sometimes felt like I had to fight against the camera, with it being a little too far out or too far in for me to see what I was trying to see. Eventually, I just started to use my Assassin Eyes feature to see where the objectives were, and just hoped that I could make sense of how to get there afterward. But yeah, this steadily became a problem for me. And it didn't help that most of the time, I was being chased by guards who made the tight corner camera even more problematic. But with all that said, let's talk about what it was like to do a mission. Keep in mind, this was a single string of missions that led me to an assassinated target, and might not be the general gameplay loop of the whole game. But I have a feeling it might be a pretty good representation. So, to start things off, I talked to some of my contacts. They have some side missions for me, either helping them get rid of someone they don't like, or helping them retrieve an item, you know, that kind of thing. And the first thing I noticed was that the dialogue felt stiff. Almost like the lines were pieced together in post, and the voice actors had no idea how their lines would sound in a full conversation. Combine this with the fact that the in-game cutscenes don't quite line up properly, and this awkwardness became real obvious real quick. I'm over here. I can't tell, are you broken or are you just trying to intimidate me? Hello? Also, and this just might have been the ones I found, but the NPCs that aren't story important seem to be a little less detailed than the rest, falling into that uncanny valley region. Please stop staring at me. But moving past that, I do some side missions, and then I get to the investigation portion. Basically, a sector of the map is highlighted, and I'm encouraged to investigate the area in regards to whatever clues I've gathered so far. This felt weird. Maybe it was just because I had a very strict time limit when playing the game, but I felt like I was just zipping through the area of the map, picking up everything in reach until the game said I found enough clues. Had I a bit more time, maybe there was something I missed. Some clue description or explanation that would have helped me narrow down what exactly I was looking for. But as it stands, I just explored the entire sector, murdered every single guard inside, and picked up everything that wasn't nailed down until the game told me where to go next. Considering investigation missions seem to be a big part of the gameplay loop, I seriously hope that this was just a me problem and not a game problem. Other investigation missions that I did were much more centered around problem solving. There were moments where I needed to move objects around to help me reach new heights, firebomb pots that helped me explode walls and get to new areas, and a few bits of reconnaissance where I eavesdropped information from passersby. And this all felt pretty great, like I had earned my reward at the end for being clever. This though? Not so much. Again, hopefully just a me problem, but maybe keep an eye on this one. After doing enough investigations, I have enough clues to fill me in on who the target might be, and from there, it's up to me to figure out the best way to reach the target and finish the job. I'm always down for having multiple solutions to a problem, and the fact that the game let me use my own style to complete the mission was a good feeling. Oh, a word of advice? Carry lots of money and general goods on your person. I don't care how you go about it. Sell items, steal things, pickpocket the locals, whatever it takes. Just always keep goods on you, because I ran into several instances where I had the option to use said goods to solve a problem. You can bribe merchants so that their wares cost less in the future, bribe people for information so that getting an upper hand on a particularly difficult mission is a little easier, remove your wanted level, and upgrade all your gear to make you a finely tuned killing machine. So yeah, get all the things. It'll make your life a bit easier. And that was it. I killed my target, which I'm not allowed to spoil for you, and saw some story stuff that had me wondering if I'd missed some very important lore in the last 28 games, and my time with the game was up. So, the question you all want answered. Is it worth your time? Well, unfortunately, I can't really say. Considering I was only given a short amount of time to play the game, I can't in good confidence recommend buying the game outright, since I've only seen a portion and can't comment on how Assassin's Creed Mirage is when taken as a whole. Personally, I'll do what I always do and just wait for the reviews at launch, then make a decision from there. But, with that said, I can say that the game is looking to be a solid performer. Most of the mechanics felt tight, a majority of the missions were enjoyable, and overall I had fun hunting down my target and solving all the tasks in my own way. The game is a little scuffed at times, but it wasn't enough to take me completely out of the experience, and some of the jank actually added to my fun with the game rather than taking it away. Okay, cool. It's also worth noting that during my recording session, the devs mentioned that there might still be a few bugs and that things should be improved by launch. So here's hoping they keep that promise. But until then, I'll be keeping my eye on Mirage. And if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, you probably should too. A big thanks again to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video and letting me play their game. I'm glad that my first time back to the Assassin's Creed franchise in over 12 years took me back to the Middle East, where I have so many fond memories from the original game. And if all goes well on launch, maybe I'll be making several more. If you're sold and you want to get the game ahead of time, you could pre-order Assassin's Creed Mirage and play for yourself on October 5th. link in the description down below. But other than that, that's all I've got. Take care of yourselves, be good to one another, and I'll see you all again soon.